What's going on there, folks? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to a few out there. It is the Earthmaster on this Wednesday, first day of March 2023. It is about 12:02 in the PM out here along California area here in the West Coast. Latest activity looks like a 2.5 in the continued earthquake aftershock sequence here around the Turkey area. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the latest map here from the USGS. Also showing some activity across the western Pacific here, as noted on the map. Got two earthquakes coming in within the last hour. One up here along our watch area, Kuro-Kamchatka Trench coming in with a 5.0, 35 kilometers deep. Not a big earthquake, but we have seen a little bit of deeper movement here throughout the region. No large-scale activity yet, but that is on the plate here soon, I'm sure. Mariana Trench also seen some activity with a 5.4, about 29 kilometers deep there. And of course, we did see that very deep earthquake yesterday. Well, actually, kind of early last night. Looks like a 6.5 into the Bismarck Sea area. That one was almost 600 kilometers deep for that 6.5. A little bit of adjustment upstream, as noted. We kind of chatted about that for, potentially watching the upstream activity. This is a subduction zone within this area. And deeper movement activity, triggering some surface activity here with that 4.7. I still think we may have a little chance of seeing some further surface rupture up at the subduction zone level. Let's see what we got here. This earthquake coming in this morning, it looks like, a 5.0 into a portion of the Izu Trench here, 17 kilometers deep, relatively shallow for this area, 5.0. But definitely, it looks like we are starting to pick up things here today across the western Pacific, so we'll keep an eye on the activity that's taking place here. Across the New Zealand area, down south, got one earthquake coming in from last night, a 3.0. Again, that's kind of odd, right? USGS showing a 3.0 on the map, but hey, that's good. Maybe they're working towards putting up a international map here for as the earthquakes below the 4.0 threshold, because they normally keep that at the 4.0 threshold level, and that's why we use the EMSC model to show some of these international communities. All right, so looking at the map here, EMSC is showing a couple earthquakes along the Kermadec Trench, a 4.2 and a 4.7, relatively new out here, and nothing here from the USGS. It's a little on the odd side. So let's go ahead and take a look at the GeoNet servers as we head over here to the folks here in New Zealand. Going to bring up the all magnitudes and see what's going on. Looks like a 2.3, somewhat deep here. Look at that, 326 kilometers, North Island, New Zealand. But I know what's underneath this area is the Hikurangi subduction zone. It sits just offshore, just off the east coast here of the North Island. Deeper movement taking place underneath the North Island region. Let's see if we can find those fours. It looks like a 4.1 coming in, 226 kilometers deep. Into the portion of the Kermadec Trench. It's going to be the smaller earthquake. And I think we did see another 4-pointer, right? 4.9, a little bit further up north. And there's our magic numbers once again, 333. It's 333 kilometers deep into the Izu Trench. I got a little gnat right here. What's going on with that? All right, just on my screen. Let's see. So yeah, a couple of earthquakes showing up here around the Kermadec Trench today, not being reported by the USGS, and it has been, it's been a couple hours since we've seen those quakes, so really surprised that USGS has not thrown those up there. Let's see if we can spot some of those quakes. The closest region would probably be up here around this station is what I'm guessing. It looks like there may have been at least one of them here, but that was a long time ago. So I'm looking at these newer earthquakes within the last few hours that may be a telltale sign of some of those fours showing up across the area. Definitely some earthquake activity ramping up around the region. As we scoot down south here, there is a couple more earthquakes. South Island area showing some movement. Not for sure if that's going to be the 3-pointer or not. That's going to be about well, 4 hours or so ago. I don't believe... no, it's definitely not that one. So some other earthquake activity definitely hitting the South Island region. No major swarms that I can see across the area. It's just some smaller quakes and a little bit of 4.0s along the Kermadec Trench here north of the North Island area. Continue to watch that. It's gone quiet up here across the Tonga Trench and the Fiji area for now. Let's see what we got on our live data out here. Stream went down, by the way, stream went down just a little bit ago due to the wind out here, but it kind of flickered the power a little bit and caused the computer to go down, which of course would bring the stream down, right? So we're up, but it's still pretty windy outside, so hopefully it doesn't flicker anymore. The Alaska region, nothing showing up in the last hour. Mostly 2s and some 1s out here. We did see a 4.0 yesterday into the Port Graham, Alaska area. 36 kilometers deep. All right, let's check out the west coast here in California. Well, we'll start up here north, just outside of Victoria. It looks like a little bit of activity kicking up early this morning, and one a couple hours ago, 2.7 and a 1.6 out here right around the Friday Harbor area, it looks like, just north of there. Some small earthquake activity kicking up into the Pacific Northwest today. Northern California, where we're watching this little swarm of activity across the Sacramento Valley, just outside of Chico here. And doesn't look like we've seen any further activity this morning so far. One little small earthquake over here outside of the Sierraville, north of Truckee. Little bitty earthquake, 0.3. But most of the movement, I would say, here in Northern California, continuing there around the Clear Lake volcanic field. It's been swarming like crazy. Last night, this thing lit up with, I don't know, 50 or 60 earthquakes with red circles, indicating all activity within the last hour. Today, what do we got? 130 earthquakes. I believe they're all below 2.5. Actually, we had a 3.4 here into the area of the Calpine hydrothermal operations, right next to one of these hydrothermal plants. They create energy by injecting raw sewage below into the heated surface, down below, not at the top, but that's consistent, 1.7 kilometers below the surface with their activity. Some deeper, some a little bit shallower, but for the most part, they're going to be within that range. And there's been quite a bit, definitely quite a bit of earthquake activity there over the last couple of days. The Bay Area, one earthquake on the Hayward Fault. I believe that's the Hayward Fault, yep. 2.1, 4.3 kilometers deep. Down into Southern California, this looks like our quiet spot here today. Not a whole lot of movement, some very small earthquake activity from yesterday. Got one earthquake here near the Granada Hills, Southern California. Right around the, well, I guess part of Los Angeles Basin area. It's north here of the general Los Angeles area, 1.8, 11 kilometers deep. And not 100% certain which fault system that's occurring on. There's a couple different ones that are compacted and just cluttered within this area. There's quite a few faults that sit within the Southern California area. Texas regional earthquake activity. Looks like majority of this from yesterday. We did have a couple just after midnight, a 2.2 and a 2.6, although today it looks a little bit more quieter in the terms of earthquake activity out there today. Arkansas, one earthquake from last night, a 1.9. Rest of the country looks pretty quiet here. Not a whole lot going on across the East Coast. And around the Puerto Rico area, getting a little trail of earthquake activity on each side of the Puerto Rico region. Let's see what we got. Got a 4.1 that came in, 74 kilometers deep, up around the Puerto Rico Trench. That's been actually fairly active over the last month or so. in terms of earthquake activity. But yeah, kind of watching that. Little interesting development there. Let's see what else we have here on the EMSC model, because I'm sure we're missing a couple from the USGS there. Some 4s along the Middle America Trench, some newer activity, 4.0 and a 4.2. Looks like along the Middle America Trench plate boundary here. No earthquake activity according to the USGS on this map, but obviously there is some uptick along that plate boundary. South America got not a whole lot of activity. Got a 4.7 just offshore of the Peru area, back prior to the subduction zone, which is the Peru-Chile Trench here, the plate boundary. Kind of a shallow earthquake. Let me take a look here. There is some other movement, some newer activity, it looks like, here on the globe into the Peru-Chile Trench, although not quite as active as what we've seen here a day or so ago. But either way, a little bit of movement up and down the South America region. 5.1. Let's see if the USGS is reporting that way down there. They are. South Sandwich Trench. Right at the edge here. 62 kilometers deep. Kind of looks like it's trying to squeeze some further strain out against the subduction zone. So we'll watch this this little loop here for some further movement over the last 30 days. Let's see what we've seen out here. Most of the activity in the South Sandwich Trench area has been to the northern segment of this area. Of course, 2021, right? I think it was 2021. We've seen that 8-pointer out here. One of the 3 8-pointers of that year. All right, let's see here. What else we got? The Atlantic Ocean, pretty calm, pretty quiet. Turkey area, still got some movement out there. Of course, that's going to continue for a little while. No major aftershocks taking place. And still seeing some regional earthquake activity spread out across the Mediterranean area, including a 2.2. This earthquake coming in within the last few minutes in the Netherlands area. 1 kilometer deep. Pretty shallow. And yeah, that's looking a little bit quieter here today compared to what we've seen yesterday. So yeah, most of the activity really trying to ramp up here along the Western Pacific. So we'll continue to keep these hotspot areas in mind. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, still waiting for a push of momentum here along the Java Trench northward to right about here. This plate boundary has not really seen anything significant in a little while, so we'll watch that for some further movement. Let's see what else we got here. Yellowstone National Park. I don't believe we have anything kicking up here, but you know, I always like to check this area because swarms can pop up out of the blue at Yellowstone. But for now, looks like just a little earthquake or two. Nothing major going on there across the area of Yellowstone. All right, space weather activity. The latest info here from solarham.net site. Really cool site to check out. There's many different space weather sites out here. And Timothy has a really cool site too when it comes to space weather. New Zealand Quakes online is a really cool site. So let's go ahead and see what we have here across the area. They're still showing a 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 50, 15% chance for an X flare. And over the night, did see a little bit of C flare activity kicking up. Nothing major on the solar flare chart. That sunspot that has been creating a little bit of havoc here with some M flares is slowly drifting off towards the northwestern edge of the sun, but it still harbors a little bit of complex structure here that may pose a threat for an M flare or two before it completely leaves the visible disk here. And we are left, looks like around the eastern limb of the sun. Things are kicking up again with some new sunspots. We'll watch these as these rotate into view in the coming days. We do have a large coronal hole, number 81 and 82, that will be working its way almost, yeah, it's just about lined up here with Earth. And we'll keep an eye on this. It looks like there is some different features here. Pretty large coronal hole in general that is facing Earth, so that will probably be geo-effective in the coming days once the solar wind arrives here to this planet. Right now, though, things look fairly green across the board. Not a whole lot of potential for auroras over the next couple nights compared to what we've seen a couple nights ago. It was pretty spectacular, dipping down into some of the states here, even down to Colorado. I heard in certain areas, pretty neat. But nothing like that on the forecast right now. Just we'll wait for the arrival of that solar wind here, probably towards the weekend or early next week. We'll see how that plays out. All right, I think that's about it for the space weather activity. Severe weather threat again. Severe weather setup. That's what I was going to shoot for. Is set up again for tomorrow. A good portion of a couple different states here. You got Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, portion of Oklahoma here in the moderate category for severe weather. But if you look at the general regional severe risk, that covers a large area across portions of the south and the southern plains here. Back over into Texas. A lot of people in that category there, and this is looking pretty gnarly in terms of the severe threat. There is right now a 15% chance of that an EF2 to EF5 tornado within 25 miles of a point. That's pretty significant. It may get upgraded, who knows. This is for tomorrow once again. And that's 4 tornadoes, wind event. It's going to be a huge wind bag of craziness out there as well. Talking about wind gusts 65 knots or greater within 25 miles of a point. A lot of that comes from straight line winds. And Dallas, Texas included in that as well. Hail threat, looks like that could be a possibility within that. Well, they have a 45% chance there, it looks like, on the map. There's wind. Oh, there we go, hail. 30% chance of seeing 2-inch hail, 2-inch diameter hail or larger within 25 miles of a point. It's getting to be that time of year. In fact, what's the day? The first day of meteorological spring tends to be the time of year when things start to change. And we get that some of that warmer air coming up from the Gulf interacting with the colder air that the jet stream brings down and low pressure systems bring across the area. So this is definitely playing out to be a significant severe weather threat day tomorrow. And there's definitely a pretty good description here. Not going to read that, but I'll include this link here in the video below, or the description below, for you guys to check out. Definitely want to have your cards in order for tomorrow with that severe weather threat. Let's see what we got here on the map. This is kind of the GFS model run. Goodness, let's see if we got the NAM model set up. This kind of shows you a little bit. This might cover tomorrow. Let me see what we got here. A little bit of it. Let's see as we bring it in. There's just, well, this is right now. We do have some storms, it looks like, here throughout the day today and tonight. There is a slight risk of some potential day one here. Let me show you day one. It stretches across this area. But tomorrow is going to be the big event here in the moderate category. So that's today. This is basically what the radar imagery could look like in terms of the threat. So tomorrow brings in, looks like it just stops right prior to one of the main events here tomorrow night. Here's that start of the severe weather, and it looks pretty impressive. We'll check this a little bit later on tonight when these start to fill in and gives us a little bit better view of what the weather models here are forecasting for the area of Texas and Arkansas, Louisiana. A big event tomorrow for severe weather, so stay safe out there, folks. All right, I think that's about it. I am going to jump off here. I do have a bunch of schoolwork I got to get done. And if the stream does go down, remember it's a wind out here. It's got a pretty good north wind kicking up here, around 30, 45 miles an hour or so. But if the stream does go down, we'll try and get it up ASAP. Till then, folks, until tonight's update, have a good one. We'll catch you guys later back here tonight.